Hey guys, what's up? I got everybody here from TMI. Don't forget to write us an email at tmipodcast2018. That's tmipodcast2018 at gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. Also, check us out on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter at TMI underscore podcast 2018. Just use the numbers, don't spell it out.
Ooh, don't forget facebook.com/TMI podcast 2018.
Follow us on the Apple Podcast app. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review.
All you YouTubers out there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, TMI Podcast 2018. Look for the popcorn bucket.
That's right. Also, check us out on Spotify and the Google Play Music app for all you Android users. Follow us and subscribe everywhere. We appreciate it. We're doing it for you guys, the fans. Thank you.
The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Dave Odinson Warhowski, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Mike Mjolnir Evans. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Are we back?
We are back.
Hey!
Hello, our TMI listener friends. Welcome to the 17th of the episodes of the TMI.
17th.
You like that? That was my Starfire.
That was your Starfire. I knew exactly where you're going with that.
You have to put
She
the.
likes to throw the in there a
Yeah.
lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she did that on the regular Teen Titans. The darker.
It was a
Teen
little
Titans
overused,
cartoon.
I think, in this movie.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
here we are,
We're back. We're back.
episode 17. And
We're missing Mike, though.
Yeah, we're missing Mike. I'm not sure where he is this week.
Mikeless. We should start a contest. Where in the world is Mike? Just
give
guess.
him a Carmen Sandiego hat.
No,
and a trench coat.
where's
Yeah.
Waldo's shirt?
What movie is it that they have the garden gnome that they take pictures everywhere? And there's a commercial about
Well,
this.
that's Travelocity.
It's the Travelocity, but they ripped it off of a movie. I want to say it's Amelie. Maybe Amelie.
Oh, I don't know. There is there's an Instagram page, and what they do is they have like a little pop of the Gandalf, and they just take them all around the world and take pictures of them in the environments.
Really?
Yeah. I have to dig that up and show you. It's kind of cool.
See, I'm not sure how I feel about that as a pop collector.
Actually taking them out of the box?
Yeah, taking them out of the box, exposed to the elements.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they bought two,
Okay, yes.
one to keep on the shelf and one to entertain the troops.
So, Jeff, we've got some news coming.
Yeah, we got news. Every week there's some nerd news coming out. News just dropped that episode 9 of Star Wars is going to start filming August 1st.
And do we have a director? Do we know who the director is?
It is J.J. Abrams.
It is J.J. Abrams. Okay.
Yes. And what is surprising is that they announced the cast and all the irregulars are coming back. We are also going to get some Billy D. Williams action, reprising his role as Lando.
Nice.
And we also on the docket have Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher.
Really?
Now, you may say, wait a minute. One died in real life and one died in the movies. So how's that going to happen? I don't know. From what I understand, Carrie's family has approved of this. And what Disney did say, they're not going to CG her. They're not going to go back and recast. They are using unused footage from The Force Awakens. And they're going to bring her back into this storyline. So how that is done, we'll see. And we can only hope that Luke Skywalker, who drifted off to the Jedi Netherworld at the end of The Last Jedi, returns as a badass Jedi ghost.
I would like to see Qui-Gon Jinn as a Jedi ghost.
That was the one scene I really, really wanted. When you get to the end of The Force Awakens and she's standing there, Rey's standing there, handing Luke Skywalker his lightsaber, and your mind's just blown. You're like, what's going to happen? And of course, we all know what happened. Not what we wanted, but I wanted to see a scene where Luke Skywalker is sitting around a campfire, right, with Jedi Ghost Obi-Wan, Jedi Ghost Yoda, Jedi Ghost Qui-Gon Jinn, just taking the knowledge from them, and we never saw any of that.
Right, and
although we did get Force Yoda, but he was a jerk.
And I would like to see, nothing against Hayden Christensen, because I think he gets a bad rap, but I really think that if you're going to do a ghost of Anakin Skywalker, it's got to be that actor that you see unmasked as Darth Vader, because that doesn't make sense.
That he goes young.
That he's a young version of himself.
Well, I don't know if are they implying that when he became Darth Vader, he stopped being Anakin, and once he was Anakin again, he became the last incarnation of what we knew as Anakin. He was no longer Darth Vader.
But that was what made the end of Return of the Jedi so poignant, because he was Anakin again at the very end.
Right.
And how you see him standing, nodding as a fatherly figure.
Right.
Rather than some punk kid.
Yeah, that poor guy. And he just got CG'd out of the entire thing.
So the big news, Disney has acquired 20th Century Fox.
Yes, this has been ongoing for a while. And it's a chunk of change. It's $71.3 billion. That Mickey Mouse had to dig deep into his pockets on that one.
Now they have further properties to populate into their theme parks, which I'm very excited about.
So now you're reacquiring all of those Marvel properties that they had to give back or sold back in the day when they were Chapter 11. So now we already have Spider-Man back in the regular Marvel universe, but now you're going to get Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Deadpool, Wolverine, even though he's dead. I'm sure they'll find a way to bring him back.
So they've wrapped up all film rights at this point, because they've got Spider-Man sort of in kind of a joint venture with Sony.
Right. Yep.
And now they have Fantastic Four, X-Men, as you said. And I don't think there's anybody left out there that they don't have the rights to.
Daredevil is now underneath that Netflix.
But it's still
Ghost Rider's the only Ghost Rider, Blade. I'm trying to think what any of those.
But even Ghost Rider was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
They got him.
Yeah. So, but the return of the Fantastic Four. So go back. Marvel was so incensed with that last cinematic movie that they basically wiped these characters from the face of the comic book world. There was no Fantastic Four comic books. They just disappeared. And lo and behold, they just announced that, hey, Fantastic Four is coming back. So the minute they reacquire this stuff, it's like, all right, now we got to start pushing it. To see a Reed Richards and thing in this universe will be pretty impressive.
I think that they should let any new movies that they may have planned on the Fantastic Four, they should let that lie for a few years at least, because there's been damage done to the brand. Not that the last Fantastic Four was a bad movie, but it just got a bad rap.
It did get a bad rap.
And I think in the public's eye, there's a bad taste in the mouth around Fantastic Four, because the first couple of movies were so bad and
but they were closer to what we knew as the Fantastic Four.
But they didn't treat them seriously at all, because I think of this Fantastic Four as like a heady, science-y kind of a...
Which is what the last one was.
A little above your head kind of a book, when you're reading it. And those first two movies were in no way, shape, or form
lighthearted
at all. Yes, it was just the fact that they tried to make the Thing. Michael Chiklis, who was a great actor, played the Thing, but like in costume. And the Thing has got to be at least as tall as the Hulk is. He's got to be, a monster.
I mean, what we've seen in the cinematic universe now, we know for a fact that they can carry that character.
So they did actually right a lot of those wrongs in the last Fantastic Four movie. The Thing became a CGI. The Doctor Doom that they had in this was a very scary variant on the classic Doctor Doom
with the aluminum foil.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot that was wrong with it, but you're right. It was a much more heady science fiction.
Yeah. So if they ever do another movie, I think that they should continue in that vein. Obviously probably start from scratch again, but I think they should make it seriously.
Do we just establish them as characters and stay away from the origin story? We've now seen it like 3 times.
Or just go into it like they did with Homecoming kind of a thing.
Correct.
Establish the Baxter building.
Who they are. We all know. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's just go. Just integrate them into the universe somehow.
Right. And the bigger question is, are we going to see the X-Men integrated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Or is it too late at this point?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Because maybe I don't know who. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows if they should? I'm kind of torn between leaving that alone and integrating them into the great.
Right. Well, I'm sure better minds than ours are hard at work at this as we speak.
Trying to devise some kind of Days of Future Past scenario where they can merge. Where the two universes can become one. Yeah.
So speaking of universes, the other news. We spoke about this last week, James Gunn being fired from Guardians of the Galaxy for inappropriate tweets he made 10 years ago. And in some kind of weird kismet, we had brought up Bobcat Goldthwait last week during our review. One crazy summer, and lo and behold, the very next day, Bobcat Goldthwait comes out of the woodwork to defend his friend James Gunn. And basically tells Disney, hey, listen, you know what? You might want to fire me too, since I made some inappropriate jokes. I'm sure that tons of artists and directors that they are using have at some point in their lives made inappropriate.
Right, especially comedians.
Right, we're trying to... So where do they draw the line? And there's a petition online to rehire James Gunn, and as of this morning, you're talking 331,000 people have signed this thing. I don't really think it's going to amount to anything. Disney can't win. There's no way they can win. You rehire him and you're going to just torque off the people who were offended by his comments to begin with. You don't hire him, and now you got 330,000 people mad at you.
Right. The only thing that I think would kind of deflect any kind of anger about firing James Gunn is by getting a director the level of a J.J. Abrams or something like that. They've got to pull something out of the hat, I think. There's another petition right now to bring in, and I'm gonna mangle his name. The director of Black Panther. He would do it justice, going into that universe and at least establishing the look and feel. I don't know his name offhand either, but yes, I think that Black Panther was one of the more successful Marvel movies. I think
it's monstrous. I think
it like box office wise, it may be like the biggest. Globally, I don't even know if Infinity Wars beat the tape.
No, it hit.
So yeah, that would be a way out, I think, for Disney if they did some kind of hocus pocus where they got a director that would kind of erase all the backlash that they've been getting for the firing of James Gunn.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Anything else that you know of that's been coming out of Comic-Con? We talked about the trailers last.
We talked. Yeah, I don't know if anything else. The only other thing I know of is that Game of Thrones seems to have officially wrapped. That's it.
And now I've never seen one episode of Game of Thrones.
That is crazy. I can't believe. I came in late in the game and I powered through, I think, season 1 and 2 on disc. So yeah, you've got some homework to do.
Yeah, the reason being is because they've been promising for quite some time that it's going to be a finite series, that it's not going to go on and on and on, and that this upcoming season is going to be the last. So I figured I'm going to wait. Then I can binge the entire thing.
Oh, you're gonna. That's the only way. You're gonna one episode after another.
Yeah. And I can't wait. It's kind of like Lost. Like with Lost, I couldn't watch it week after week because you would have to binge that because so much happened in an episode of Lost. You would forget if you waited a week.
That is true. That's why they had those little recaps.
Yes, but which never helped me anyway. Like,
no, but that's why we used to also sit around and talk about like we dissected this TV show to no end. At some point, I think we need to revisit Lost because
I think you're right. Yeah,
that was just a fun. That was right at the cusp when the internet was, when you start getting high def televisions were coming in. So yeah, it was crazy. It was just, it was a must see show. So I think we need to revisit.
In some cases, we've come around much too late, but in other cases, I think we're right where we should be. Our movie this week. Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Yes, and we did go to the movies. Now, can I ask? Yes. You did bring Harrison, correct?
Of course, yes, I did bring Harrison. Yes,
I brought my son as well. Now, there's a couple years difference. My son is 16, and Harrison is what?
He's 7.
He's 7. Yep. Okay, and he's familiar with this Teen Titan universe.
He is completely on board with this Teen Titan.
Okay, so he went in all super excited. My son agreed to come watch this movie with me, but my kids, being a little bit older, grew up with the more mature Teen Titans animated series.
Okay,
the one that they've actually poked fun at this on the TV show. I've seen a couple clips where they watch the TV show, of themselves.
Yeah. There's one particular episode of the Teen Titans Go TV show where half the episode is the older characters from the more serious TV show, where they're daydreaming about like if they were serious. It's a very meta kind of a show. Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, I came into this and I knew bits and pieces. This movie is not made for us, but then again, it is. It's definitely. I mean, there is a potpourri of poop and fart jokes. I don't know how your theater was. I had a fair amount of families and kids. They laughed at all this. There's probably parts I laughed louder than other people. And I'm glad that my son came, because being a middle-aged creepy guy in a kid movie all by myself, I usually get like a big 6-7 seat berth all the way around me. Like no one, moms are like, no, move back over here. But my son did bury his head in his hands a few times when they launched into song. But it's just so nonsensical. And it's just like, there's so many in-jokes. I mean, they're poking fun not only at DC movies, they're poking fun at Marvel. They're poking fun at themselves. I love this. I thought I had so much fun right from the opening scene. So you open with this, what are they? The DC Legend of Superhero, the girls?
Yes, yeah.
Like
I was very confused by that because I wasn't expecting like a little one shot like they do before the Pixar and Disney movies.
Right.
So this is just a little animated 3 or 4 minute, short.
Right. It's Batgirl.
Yeah.
And she's waiting for her dad to go to bed because Commissioner Gordon doesn't know that she's really Batgirl. And all the other girls are going to fight Mr. Freeze. And she wants in on the action. And it's cute, and the animation style is really neat, but it's nothing more than just an advertisement for that show. Like, there was nothing, right? It was like, hey.
Yeah, and I was convinced until the credits rolled on it that I was watching Teen Titans Go. I'm like, okay, this is some kind of elaborate opening for the movie.
Hook, line, and sinker. So go to that opening. So the first thing they do is an homage to the Marvel flipping of the comic book pages.
Yes.
And I'm like, they're literally ripping it off, and then they pan back, and you realize it's a
seagull that's reading a comic book
through Teen Titans comic #1. So it's all the Marv Wolfman artwork and whatever. But it was clever. It was clever. It was a throwaway gag. So right from the beginning, Daffy Duck. I don't know if I've ever seen. Does this on the TV show? Because this is Warner Brothers.
It's Warner Brothers. So it's all It's not. Daffy is not. And the Looney Tunes. I've never seen them on the TV show.
Okay, so this opening Warner Brothers logo opens up, kind of Animaniacs, which I love the fact that they even gave a shout out.
Yeah, they gave it. Yep.
When they get
and I was so hoping for a cameo, but it didn't happen.
No, but you got Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, at the opening little thing. So that was kind of a neat little thing. Yeah, you start right in, and there's a fart joke that just goes on. And you're like, all right, this is what we're in for.
If you're listening to this show, you will enjoy Teen Titans Go to the movie.
I agree. I read online, I've only found one scathing review where this person was just irate that they absolutely hated this. And that's fine. That's, that's the same type of person that gets all bent out of shape when, they relaunched Thundercats and they're going to make it.
But how can you hate Teen Titans Go? It's like going and trying to pull a straight face watching Caddyshack all the way through.
I don't know. You take in what you take in on these movies. You knew what you were getting in for.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like I said, I laughed at all the fart jokes. There's a running poop joke.
Yep.
It's like, come on. But at the same time, it's funny.
But there's some things I'm very surprised that they're able to get away with. Stan Lee for one.
Oh my God. And it was more substantial than anything he's ever done in the Marvel movie.
Yep. He comes back twice. He's got two
twice. Right? Yeah. He's like, and what's great was when they're on the lot. So the whole point of the movie is that the Titans realize pretty quickly that no one takes them seriously. Every major superhero is getting his own movie. So you got all these kind of, like you said, meta posters in the background for Jonah Hex, but it was Jonah Rex, T-Rex. You get every major DC character shows up at some point during the premiere of Batman's movie. But Robin, who's very narcissistic, is just irate that he does not have his own movie. So he's determined to get a movie.
Yeah, and he is the highlight of the show as well. Like,
it really is his storyline. Maybe to the detriment of some of the other characters. Right, go back to fighting Balloon Man. And he goes, who are you? And he goes, Justice League. He goes, we're not the Justice League. He goes, are you Guardians of the Galaxy? And she's like, I'm pretty sure that's not even the same comic universe.
Yeah.
So they're throwing out these little snippets here and there. But yeah, the Stan Lee cameo was awesome.
Yeah, they did a Lion King parody in this.
Oh my God! Well, that was the other neat thing too, right? So it was a dream sequence that Robin had, where Batman's lifting little baby Robin up in the air, and all the superheroes are coming and neighing like.
Yep, you see Flash like chomping on grass, like he's one of the gazelles. Yeah,
but it was done in the Disney Lion King style animation. So they do play around when they launch into song a couple times. The animation style changes, so it's kind of neat. It's just that was pretty funny.
Yeah, then Batman tosses him away once the other superheroes realize that it's Robin.
He's just a sidekick.
They're never going to bow to Robin as the king.
No. So the poop jokes. Adam gets stepped on multiple times.
Yes.
No respect.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't get more specific about some of the similarities between different DC characters and Marvel characters. Like Adam and Ant-Man are so similar. And then they had that one group of heroes. What were they called? The Champions of the Unknown?
No, Challengers of the Unknown.
So do you know who these guys are?
They're literally unknown. It's in their name. they have passes for the event, but the Titans can't get in. And it's a running joke. Challengers of the Unknown. They were like in the 60s. I remember I have a couple of those issues floating around somewhere, and they were all of the purple matching flight suits kind of a thing.
And of course, Raven uses one of her portals to get rid of them out of the theater so they can take their seats.
Right.
In the Batman's
they're just stuck in that portal throughout the entire movie.
And that's a running joke as well, because if you're familiar with the TV show, Raven is probably the most powerful of the characters. Her powers far surpass everybody else's on the team. Yet she never uses them. Whenever she can do these portals, and she only does them once in a blue moon, while that would probably solve the problem of every single team.
Well, that was a couple times in this movie. That was the running joke, which was, boy, if we could only find a way into the portal. Okay. Oh, yeah. So they just portal into Deathstroke. They don't call him Deathstroke, I guess, on the TV show. We just go with Slade,
voiced by the great Will Arnett.
Well, and he's probably, go back to the Lego Batman, which is just a phenomenal character. So the fact that he didn't voice Batman in this, I thought was interesting, but I think he was a good choice for Slade. Slade!
And it is true. It's like the more you can draw out the vowels
on
the syllables of the villain, the better that he seems to be.
Right.
So every attempt, every opportunity that the Titans get to say Slade's name, they take it. And you see it with Slade, their tongues all come out of their mouth.
And that's because Robin decides that in order to get his own movie, he needs to have a nemesis. So he's determined that Slade is his nemesis. And then this woman character, Jade Wilson, she was the director who was making the Batman movie. And she basically tells Robin straight up, I'll never make a Robin movie unless there are no other superheroes. So what do? Let's just create time-traveling, the big wheels. And we'll go back in time and we'll kill all the superheroes.
Back in time, Huey Lewis and the News.
Yep, you got the Back to the Future theme. But they also were playing Aha, Take on Me, which I thought was hysterical. So Deadpool 2 had Aha's got this huge resurgence going. What's going on? And these guys are like coming out of obscurity.
So they go back in time to all the origin stories to try to erase them. And
this is where it hits on you and me, because first of all, Kal-El is Marlon Brando. Jor-El.
Jor-El. So they go to Krypton. It's all going down. Krypton's about to explode through the power of synth music.
Straight on Marlon Brando.
So they accuse them of being bad parents.
Bad parents.
What are you, sending your baby out into space alone? Genius. And then through the power of synth music, they save Krypton. And then they go to Gotham. And this is probably the biggest laugh, where you hear little Bruce Wayne to his parents as they're leaving the theater. Gee, thanks, Dad, for taking a movie in such a bad neighborhood.
Right. And then the Titans come, they're like, wait, don't go down Crime Alley. And then you just cut to a scene of 100 guys with guns shooting each other. And why don't you go down Happy Trails, which is like right next to it. So they avert the Wayne's death.
So they they negate all these origin stories and they go back to the future and they find out that it's chaos because all the supervillains are just
they're still supervillains.
Yeah, they're still supervillains and they're just running ragged and it looks like a Road Warrior type apocalypse.
The other superhero that they killed off, they go to the side of the lake and here's little baby Aquaman swimming.
Yes.
And they just drop one of those 6-pack plastic rings into the water. He immediately strangles himself and you just see water bubbles. They killed him.
Yes.
It was brutal.
And when they go back to Gotham to fix it, they just shove Bruce Wayne's parents into the
Oh yeah, when they go right, so they have to go back in time now and basically refix it. Right. They put the beads on the mom and then just shove them down the alley. Yeah. Go get shot. Go get shot. So the Marlon Brando thing, I thought, they also stopped the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from turning.
Yes.
The 4 turtles walking toward the ooze.
It took me a second to realize what that was.
It's such a throwaway gag. Yeah. And they turn them around and walk right back into the sewer. So that was pretty funny. And Nicolas Cage is playing Superman.
Yes.
Which is
finally.
So, again, right. So go back, Tim Burton. Was that right? That had to have been right after Batman.
That was right around Batman, probably early 90s.
Yep.
Yeah.
That I can only imagine what that movie would have been like. But yep, Nicolas Cage was cast as Superman, long-haired Superman.
Yeah.
There's a documentary, I think, on HBO that chronicles they got well into development of the costume and the sets and the scripts, and it just kind of fell through, but it would have been crazy. It wouldn't have been Superman, that's for sure.
No, it wouldn't have been. It would have been very interesting though. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that movie.
Yeah. Well, if you ever get a chance to watch the documentary, it's really neat. Okay. It's kind of
yeah, I've seen the photos. It looks totally bizarre.
Right. Yeah, because the suit is almost like a bioluminescent underwater sea creature looking thing. Yeah. But going back to Nicolas Cage, at the end credits, the kid who the voice of young Bruce Wayne. So you mentioned when they go down the alley, gee, Dad, thanks for taking us to this bad neighborhood. That was Nicolas Cage's son, Kal-El.
Kal-El Cage.
Kal-El Cage.
I did notice that. And there is a for those of you who are wondering if you want to hang around, there is a small, tiny little post-credits sequence at the very end of the credits. A pre-credit sequence as well that calls out to the original Titans, the darker variant of the animated.
Yeah, that was interesting because there seems to be a lot of confusion as to what that actually is. But I think Tara Strong, the girl who does the voice of Raven, they also, all these actors who do the voice of these characters did the voices from the original 2000 show.
Yes.
It lasted 5 seasons. So, right, you're in the end credits and all of a sudden you kind of see like this garbled, it's like a transmission coming through. Can they hear us? Can they hear us? Hey, we think we found a way to get back. And it just cuts to the serious Titans and you see them for like a split second and then it goes. So Tara came out and basically said if this movie does well, that they would go back and make a season 6 of the original Titans. Because I got the impression or I got the understanding that if this new show goes through, that it would be on DC streaming, just like all the other stuff we talked about.
And this is actually, I read something online where one of the reviewers equated Slade's Doomsday device to the DC streaming. Like,
right. Well, there is definitely a social commentary going on there about taking over the world with videos and movies and
well, we've already got the live action Titans that will be on DC streaming, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So. But no F-bombs in this movie.
That's thankfully just a lot of poop jokes.
Lots of poop fart jokes, keep the kids happy.
There are so many little call outs, even on there's so many just go by, like you see them. And then when I come out of the theater, I'm trying to, like, there was a poster for, I think it was Batman versus Superman, and it was called Yawn of Justice. So Aquamanatee.
Yes, Aquamanatee. Yeah.
Nigma Tech, which is obviously an Enigma Riddler shout out, and then there was a Rorschach, like a Radio Shack, but obviously from the darker unit.
Yeah, Watchmen.
So, but yeah, and even in the movie theater, there's so many superheroes sitting. It's hard to even, the Wonder Twins showed up. Crypto Wonder Dog is in there.
I cannot wait to get the Blu-ray just so I can pause on that theater scene, so you can see everybody that's in there.
Yeah, there's so many, and again, the Back to the Back to the Future theme. There's a Shia LaBeouf.
Yes.
When they show up at the movie and they're like, all right, Robert, we're going to make your movie and here's your bad guy. And all of a sudden Slade standing there and they just start beating the crap out of him. And they're
But it's an actor. It's an actor playing Slade.
It's Shia LaBeouf playing Slade. And then they just start beating him even harder.
And Beast Boy's like, Shia LaBeouf, fool.
It's exhausting because it really is just rat-a-tat. It's you know what it is? It's up there with like kind of Deadpool in the sense that there's so many jokes being thrown at you, but I enjoyed this. It's so bright. The animation is fun, you know, and it reminds me so much why I like these characters. I read these comic books. You know, Titans were huge in the 80s. They've been around since like the 60s. But when the X-Men became really popular, DC was smart enough to take these characters. And again, they brought in Robin, who is an established character, but all these other ones were brand new. Cyborg and Raven and Starfire. And I think Beast Boy had been around. He was part of but he was part of another group too. And he was called Changeling. They changed his name. But it just, you know, it's a fun group of characters. And I enjoyed it. And you said I would not be disappointed, and I am not disappointed. And I will say the only other thing I'll say about this movie, which is you get to the end, and Robin wants to turn it into a learning lesson moment.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, that's not what this movie is. That's not what this movie is about. And you got all the superheroes are going, credits. Yeah. They just want the credits to roll. And as the credits start to roll, Robin just loses his crap, and he swings out and he's hanging onto the camera, and he's like face right into it. He's now breaking the fourth wall, and he goes, "Kids, ask your parents where babies come from," and then it just cuts to black. And it's just like, what the?
Yeah, there was actually a kid sitting behind us said to his parents, "What is that supposed to mean?"
Right, ride home is going to be horrible. Hey, kid, you want an ice cream?
So that in itself, I think, was, you know, making fun of a lot of those movies like The Return of the King that have 6 extended climaxes. You think the credits are going to come, and then they don't. And you think the credits are going to come, and then they don't.
Yeah, that one is probably the worst. Yeah, it's a lot.
Give us your favorite of the Teen Titans from this movie.
Oh, from Beast Boy.
You see, that is my son's all-time favorite.
Beast Boy.
He loves Beast Boy.
And he turned into it. So usually he turns into a gorilla or something. He was a dragon. I was like, yeah, man, think outside. And he was a T-Rex. So I'm like, all right, thinking outside the box.
Yeah, I tend to go for Starfire just because I like the idiosyncrasy of her. Yeah, of her adding the before every noun that she. So how many popcorn buckets would you give it?
Oh man, I have to. I'll go 3.5.
See, I would do that too. I kind of equate it with the Lego Movie, where there's not only they're just throwing jokes at you.
You know what? You're right. There's clever Lego jokes. I think the Lego Movie is smarter than this.
But they both have not only the jokes that are just being thrust, it's hard to catch up, but there's also a lot of visual stuff.
Right.
Like you're talking about the posters in the background that you feel like you missed the first time around and you want to see it again. And I've watched the Lego Movie numerous times, and I see something new, every time. It's one of those where you want to freeze frame every frame because there's so much going on.
So speaking of which, did you get the trailer for Lego 2?
I did.
I was surprised. I had no clue this was coming out, and I
almost stood up in a
applauded. Yep. We start out in a post-apocalyptic, what is it, Brickland or whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
So and Emmett's the only one who's still a little optimistic. So it looks good.
Because it looks like the Duplo, which threatened to take over at the end of the previous Lego Movie, once the little sister comes downstairs.
Right. Yep.
It looks like Duplo is fully taken over the Lego world.
Destroying. So
3.5 popcorn buckets for Teen Titans Go.
Go see it.
Yeah. And it's not like that's something that we can spoil for you. There's a million jokes that we didn't.
Right. If anything, we're just giving you heads up to look for certain things.
Yes. So please go see it.
The battle cry. Caw-caw!
Yeah.
And now, on with the show.
So this, we thought, would be a nice kind of bridge between the new feature and the old feature. Would be something very similar to it. And we would like to go back in time, just like the Teen Titans did.
There you go.
Back to 1966.
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, the last year the Beatles went on tour. This was the summer of their farewell tour.
This is like the very edge of our nerddom.
Yes. So another campy DC property. Campy back in those days, not anymore. But Batman, the original movie version of Batman, starring Adam West as the Caped Crusader. This ties in a number of different ways, the Teen Titans Go. Not only is it a DC property, and they both feature Batman, but it's also a movie that is based on a TV show that is actually still on the air. The original Batman movie hit theaters in between the first and second seasons of the Batman TV show.
Which is almost unheard of. Because, right, it came out like 2 months after the last episode of the first season.
Yes.
So they had to have been filming these things almost concurrently.
You would think so. And it looks like a lot of the same indoor sets, at least, are the same. It's got a very similar feel to watching the TV show, except that a lot of the outdoor sets are much grander sets.
Well, I was gonna say, you got a little more budget, so I think this is probably the first time you saw the Bat Cycle and the Bat boat, and then of course you got the Bat Copter, which I don't know ever showed up ever again on.
Yeah, no, and that's a pretty nice.
That's a pretty substantial, right? And on top of the, I looked up the original Batmobile sold in 2013. For some ridiculous, like $4.2 million.
Really?
Yeah.
There had to have been more than one.
Oh, I'm sure there was. I'm sure there was hero ones. I know people for a fact have replicated and made versions of that, just like the DeLorean. But it's so iconic, and and the show only lasted 3 years, but so many actors came through that door as villains. And this was really the first time. So every week you got a different villain, but now you got all 4 of these villains working together. So that was huge, too. I mean, if you were a fan of the show, to go to this movie and see the Joker and the Penguin and the Riddler and Catwoman all together, I mean, that's crazy.
Now, just researching this a little bit, it seemed that the producers wanted this to come out before the TV show.
Lead into the TV show.
To lead into the TV show.
Right.
So it was not a lead into the TV show. The TV show already existed, so these characters were already well known to American audiences. But it didn't do that well. The box office was only like $200,000 more than what it cost to make the movie.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it cost 1.5.
Studio's like, oh crap. But it's become such an iconic. I mean, come on. To this day, you can't read a review, even if it's in the New York Times, of one of these superhero movies, and they can't help themselves. The headline has to say, "Holy something Batman" or "Holy blockbuster." It's so ingrained.
It's true. And in this movie especially, I didn't keep track of all the holy whatevers that
right.
Dick Grayson was saying, but there's quite a few. I think my favorite was "Holy Bikini," when it turns out that the bad guys' plans are shooting off a missile, and which is a reference to the Bikini Atoll.
Yeah, they showed that same stock footage of the Polaris.
The Polaris missile coming out of the water over and over and over.
And the missing submarine, the Army surplus submarine that goes missing and somehow looks like a giant penguin.
Yes, that's redone. Immediately.
Pretty impressive. How come no one ever remade that?
What's funny is that this, for anybody listening out there that's in the New York, Long Island, New Jersey area, there used to be an after-school show weekdays called the 4:30 Movie on ABC. And this ran throughout the 70s into the 1980, 1981. And they would have theme weeks. They would have Godzilla week. They would have Planet of the Apes week. And every once in a while, they would show this Batman movie on the 4:30 Movie. And it would be cut over 2 days because the 4:30 Movie was only really an hour long. Once you cut it out for the commercials and everything. Right. So I remember this. This was always a big event when they showed this movie. On the 4:30 Movie. So that was my memory. And the biggest memory I have is of that penguin submarine with its 2 little flippers in the back going through the water.
It's very well designed. It's so kitschy.
And even they use a real submarine for the outdoor shots when they're fighting on it at the end. And they even design the top of it to look like the little model, which was very impressive to me.
Yeah.
Because the TV show would never attempt to do that, I think.
No. But PIX Channel 11, like you and I never watched this when it was, weekly. It was all in reruns.
Yeah.
And Channel 11 ran these ad nauseum.
Right. But they would always run them in order because every Batman episode would end with a cliffhanger.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and today you couldn't count on that because I don't think a lot of networks care what order they run their syndicate.
Well, that's a joke in Teen Titans, which is season 5 of the original series. It ends on a cliffhanger, and they never resolved it.
Right.
So trying to figure it out. But yeah, you're right. And do you remember? like, I don't know if it was season 2 or 3, but in the opening credits, you know, the little animation of the characters and they're beating each other up. And then at the very, very end, you would see the close-up of the Batmobile. And if you were lucky, the Bat Cycle would go by because that indicated
Batgirl, right?
Batgirl was going to be in that episode. And I was like, oh, Batgirl. And I remember being old enough that she really titillated me one way or the other, but it was just the fact that she was a cool addition.
Right. And the suit, the Batgirl suit, the purple sparkly suit was always, you know, a joy to behold, I think.
Well, in honor of Shark Week, I will call out the shark repellent. Batman at the beginning of the movie gets lowered into the water and he comes up with a giant shark that just happens to have a bomb in it. So
I completely forgot that that's where that joke came from. The shark repellent, you know, was this movie.
Robin, lower me down the shark repellent. So he sprays off the shark. It falls off his leg and then explodes. And then later they're tied to a buoy. And, you know, they're firing missiles at them and it blows up. You see it from the bad guy's point of view and they're like, woohoo, we got him. And then all of a sudden you see them safe and sound and they're like, boy, good thing that suicidal pot of dolphins just came through. So you've got some aquatic deaths going on in this movie that are just kind of overlooked.
Right. Yeah, it was just such a bizarre line. Like, you know.
Right. Like, how are we going to get these guys out of here?
Yeah, Robin says, geez, the humanity of dolphins. It's unbelievable. He threw himself in the line of that missile for us. And the fact when the shark, that was one of the 2 times watching this movie now that I laughed out loud was when the shark hit the water and exploded. And I just thought it just exploded. That you know, later they explain it swallowed a landmine. Right. And that's why it exploded. But I just thought because it hit the water, it hit the water.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy, so over the top. There's a whole scene where he has the bomb and he's running around with it over his head. And everywhere he turns, there's either little kids or there's nuns. And he just looks at the camera. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. And it's just such a stupid. Yeah, and everything just has this bat prefix in front of it. Nothing can just be a pole. It's got to be a bat pole. Can't just be a ladder. It's a bat ladder.
And every computer in the Batcave is labeled.
And someone must have got him a label maker for Christmas.
And I love the opening. They still have the original 20th Century Fox opening from the 60s. Yes, what I saw. Yeah,
almost hand drawn. Did you notice that we see a fair amount of Bruce Wayne as opposed to Batman? There's this whole second storyline, which I think that as a kid, I probably would have been bored out of my gourd, where he goes on this date with Miss Kitka, who kind of holds her Russian accent every now and again. And again, this is Lee Merriweather. Now, she was not Catwoman on the TV show.
No, Julie Newmar was Catwoman on season 1 of the TV show. And for reasons unknown, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I think there was like a conflicting schedule to something. She was hurt. So yeah, again, it's kind of not really explained one way or the other. But yeah, so Lee Merriweather. And he kind of falls in love with her. But he's got to be the worst detective in the world, because at least twice while they're hanging out, she goes, perfect. And so he's absolutely at the very end when they catch the bad guys and they turn her around and she's out, her mask falls off, and he realizes that it's Miss Kitka. Mm-hmm. This look of despondent and like he's verging on tears.
And you do see, because he's just come out of from the water in the submarine, so he's got water pouring down his face just to help him. Maybe the audience might think that he's crying.
Yeah. I don't know if he actually had the acting chops to pull that off.
Yeah, I know. Then after, regaining his composure, he says to Robin, "No matter, Robin, let's."
Yep.
He shakes it off, and
But he fights as Bruce Wayne a couple times against henchmen.
He does.
And they don't use the comic book punching effects. Only when he's Batman do they bring that out. And I thought that was interesting. That twice he gets in these fights, but they never use those pow zap, zing. Only when he was in the Batman costume.
Yeah, they saved that.
I thought you were going to do a shout out to Cesar Romero's mustache.
I would like to.
Because it's pretty obvious. On the TV screen, you kind of lose it, but once you see it in high def, you can't unsee it.
I know. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, just shave the mustache. It'll grow back. Yeah.
But that was like his trademark, and he refused to shave it off, so they just whitewashed it. So underneath the Joker's white face is his mustache.
Even on the pop of the Joker.
Oh no!
Did they do, like, you see the little shadow of a mustache there.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other cameo I saw from the day was Jack LaLanne. Do you remember Jack LaLanne? He was like the,
Yes, of course.
the original workout guru. He was on the roof when working out with a bunch of ladies doing his aerobic.
Oh, that was him.
That was Jack LaLanne.
All the bikini ladies were waving at the back copter as it's flying over.
Yep, that was Jack LaLanne.
And they just wave back as if it's their solemn duty to wave.
Right, police officers would stop and actually lower their hat as the Batmobile went, or the Batcopter flew over. Thanks for doing our job, dude.
And it's just funny to me how they would just leave the Batmobile at the airport as they took the.
I know.
Took the
no one's going to take it,
or leave it on the dock as they take the Batboat. No security.
They were highly respected. People just let them alone.
And political commentary. LBJ is parodied pretty harshly in this movie.
Harshly.
With the dogs, no less. So it was an enjoyable watch, I think, for me. It was. I hadn't seen it in years and years.
No, I haven't seen it in quite some time.
Very much is its own thing. It's very separated from the TV show, and as we were talking about before, there's a lot of the outside scenes, like the submarine fight and the scenes of the submarine under the water, where you know that there's a bigger budget going on than what were allotted in the TV show. So because of that, it has its own voice, I think. So I would give it probably 3 popcorn buckets.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on 3. Yep.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those, you know what you're getting in for.
And when you're thinking about the Batman of the future, it's on a lower tier for me from the Batmans that came later. But still, it's got a place in my heart because this is the first Batman I knew, live action Batman that I knew. And on the movie poster, one of the major advertising campaigns that they were using for this movie is it's the first time that Batman is on the big screen in color. And it's true.
Right, I think the original one was black and white.
The serialized Batman was black and white. So this was probably a big, maybe not a big deal as it would have been because the TV show was in existence for a year. So everybody knew about it already. So maybe that's why it didn't do well at the box office. Why should I go to the movies when I can get it for free at home?
Correct. Right.
So, but yeah, three popcorn buckets for me.
Yeah. There was another poster I came across. I think it was Australia. And it was like, men die, women sigh. Beneath the cape, he's all man. I'm like, all righty. That was like an advertisement in opening today in theaters and drive-ins near you.
Batman inspired our confessional question today.
Confessionals.
We would like to ask ourselves, and ask you as well, who is your favorite iteration of Batman on not only the big screen, but on the TV screen as well? So Adam West is viable here as a choice. I think big screen wise, I would have to go with Will Arnett and the Lego Movie Batman.
I'm right there with you on that. That is hysterical. Although I'll give Christian Bale a call out because I really like those Dark Knight movies.
Just my second choice would be Michael Keaton. Just because I was so impressed back then with the 89 version of Batman especially. I remember seeing that trailer back in 89 for the Batman.
Losing your mind over it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was huge. But again, like you said, Batman for us was this Adam West TV show. Can you imagine if that casting had happened now with the internet age the way it is? People would have lost their minds. Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom? You're going to cast him as Batman?
Yeah.
He was a little doughy. He wasn't really, masculine. So, I can see the uproar. I can see that there would have been huge backlash.
Yeah, and I didn't really hear, apart from my circle of friends, because as we just said, there was no internet back then. So you didn't really see it widespread. Like maybe on the news, you'd heard that Michael Keaton was cast and that there was an uproar with fans. And maybe petitions were signed back then. But when you actually saw him in the movie, I think he did a great job as Bruce Wayne. Yeah. Especially the famous scene where, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Yeah.
That's right.
But Will Arnett, going back to Will Arnett with the Lego Movie, he owned Batman in the Lego Movie. And I still kind of prefer Batman in that than to the Batman movie.
The Batman movie itself.
Yeah, because I was always
you take them in small doses.
And I was a little disappointed that they don't really make any references to the Lego Movie in the Batman movie. It's like separate stories that they shan't meet, It's like you don't hear about Emmett, you don't hear about Unikitty, any of those characters in the Batman movie. But yeah, I like the Will Arnett Batman.
I agree with you on that one. Although I do like the Ben Affleck suit. Was it Justice League and then Batman versus Superman? I like that suit.
Are you referencing the kryptonite suit, the full on body armor suit?
It's like, yeah, not even the armor one, just his regular bat suit. It's a little more hand stitched looking kind of a thing. It's not just a big rubber suit with nipples. So, because who else we had? We had Val Kilmer was one.
Yeah, Val Kilmer was not bad, although I think he was. It's funny to say this now because you'd never say this in 1989 before you saw the original Batman, but he was really in Michael Keaton's shadow. And I think a lot of people, me included, were judging him against Michael Keaton. And I was a little disappointed that Michael Keaton never came back and that Tim Burton didn't come back for that movie. And forget George Clooney. That was just like I think Clooney's gone out of his way to apologize for that. And he said he killed that franchise. Yeah. And at one point I read an interview with Joel Schumacher at that time, right when he cast George Clooney as Batman. And he said just some kind of conceited quote to the effect of, I finally found my Batman, as if this was his franchise now. And that so rubbed me the wrong way because, I just felt like this guy was a hack compared to Tim Burton.
Well,
and I was just so glad that the franchise ended after that Batman and Robin movie, and for a few years at least. And I enjoyed the Christian Bale take on it. I think those movies were gritty, and I think that's what that character needed.
Correct. Although you spend 3/4 of the movie getting him to that point, and it doesn't matter how much they ground that character. And I liked him as Bruce Wayne. This kind of the whole storyline of him going out and training. But the minute he put the suit on and he picks up that gruff voice, it just comes silly.
Yeah.
Swear to me.
Right. So, and I think Ben Affleck, say what you will, we'll never see that standalone Batman movie, but I like him as Batman. It's not over the top when he's talking. He's not trying to play this goofy character. He just kind of is. I don't think he's a great Bruce Wayne. Again, you can get into like that whole Peter Parker, Spider-Man kind of a thing. George Clooney was Bruce Wayne. He was the playboy, Right. But Will Arnett. I agree with you. Will Arnett.
Yeah, Ben for me is kind of just like he's there as Batman. He's serviceable as Batman.
Right. Well, again, you're not really seeing him in his own movie. He's not really carrying the whole thing. He's even with the Superman Batman thing, which I can honestly say I've never seen all the way through.
Yeah, no, neither have I. Actually fell asleep through in the middle of it.
Yeah, I refused. I didn't go to the movies, but when Ben saw it, he came home and I said, "Did this, and this happen?" He goes, "Dad, that's the entire movie." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "How do you know that?" And I'm like, "Because they're just picking it up from the storyline of the comic books." Although they're played fast and loose with some of that stuff with Doomsday, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's when we first get the concept of the mother box.
Right. Yeah.
They could have named that, I think, a little bit better.
Mother Box.
It sounds like a 90s grunge band.
And now on stage, Mother Box.
Mother Box. Yeah, that's a good arch nemesis.
Mother Box.
Mother Box.
Box.
Next week, let's talk a little bit about.
Oh yes, we do have. Oh yeah, I forgot we have another show next week.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to the small screen next week.
Ooh, we got a little Cloak and Dagger action.
Yes, yeah. Our it's not a Netflix show. This is a freeform show, formerly known as ABC Family.
ABC Family.
And I can't say that this show would fit comfortably on a network called ABC Family.
Freeform is definitely a little more freeform. I'm surprised at some of the stuff they're getting away with on this channel.
I know. This show in particular. I've only seen half of the first season so far. But we're talking about Cloak and Dagger, which is a beloved duo from the Marvel Comics. They now have their own series. And we are going to take a look at the entirety of Season 1. And we're going to bring that to you in all of its glory. Season 1 of Cloak and Dagger. On the.
I'm excited. They're staying pretty true to the comic book of, the characters back in the day were definitely dark and gritty. So they're really kind of staying true to that.
Yes, they are. And I'm very pleased with it so far. So if you think you can manage 10 episodes in a week, please, join us in watching Cloak and Dagger. I'm about halfway through, and they're very, it's with commercials. It's about 45 minutes an episode, so It can be done. And for the classic film next week,
I'm waiting.
This is my pick. This is not personal preference, but I'm sacrificing personal preference for this pick. So this is a nice tie-in to the Cloak and Dagger episode.
Is it the Dabney Coleman Cloak and Dagger movie?
It is.
No.
So I'm making us
Dabney
watch.
Coleman, dude.
It's a complete Cloak and Dagger episode next week. Cloak and Dagger, the series. Cloak
You
and
wear the
Dagger,
black cape, I'll wear the
the
white.
movie.
You
So
are
we've
too
got,
much.
this is Dabney Coleman and
From E.T.
Henry Thomas. from
Henry
E.T..
Thomas. Maybe the only other movie he ever made.
84, yes. So it's about video games, espionage. I'm not going to say it's a great movie, but again, it fits very well thematically with our Cloak and Dagger. So
There you
imagine the Instagram artwork you can pull off with Cloak and Dagger. That's what I was thinking of. You know what I really wanted to watch
Which
was my first thought was Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
Ooh, you're going old school.
Which is the Clint Eastwood, Jeff Bridges movie. But because it's an
right, there you go.
But then I thought, no, it's got to be Cloak and Dagger. If we're ever going to do that movie, it's got to be this episode.
Now, yeah. If we're ever going to do that movie.
Mike is going to hate us.
He may choose to be somewhere else next week as well.
So
I think he
that's
dodged a bullet. I think he dodged a bullet on Teen Titans.
on
I don't
this,
know.
yeah. I think he just didn't want to see it. That's why he's not here.
Yeah.
So, but also, our big announcement is our first giveaway.
Ooh,
Our first TMI giveaway. So if you've followed our Facebook page, you would have seen a mystery posting of a photo of a minor Star Wars character from The Force Awakens. Sidon Ithano, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Say that 3 times fast.
And this guy, the Crimson Corsair is his nickname. So he is a red-masked pirate. And the character of Finn in The Force Awakens tries to catch a ride with him when they're when they see Maz.
Right.
So Finn is there trying to catch a ride with Sidon Ithano, who kind of really plays the Han Solo part of Finn, of the main character trying to get off world. So he never speaks.
I was going to say, does he have any dialogue? I don't know.
No, he never speaks.
Cool looking, though.
You just see him. Yeah, he is very cool looking.
He's like a red hammerhead.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Although you never know how he drinks at the bar. You know, he's in a bar
Right.
with a helmet on. You know,
who says his mouth is up there at top?
Right, this is true. So we have a pop of this character, Sidon Ithano. So how do you get this pop? This is the prize in our first giveaway. And so the way that you would get this is to be the 20th reviewer on iTunes. We have 15 reviews as I speak on our iTunes page if you go to podcasts on the iTunes store. iTunes on podcasts on the iTunes store, you'll see that you can review us. And if you are the 20th reviewer, you will win the Sidon Ithano pop. We will ship it to you. And I was thinking of maybe we should restrict this to the continental United States. I
think we have to for now.
Yes. So I'm sorry to our listeners in Tanzania and Portugal and Zimbabwe and South Korea. This is not for you. This is
eventually, I think we can do giveaways eventually then.
Eventually we will, yes. But this first giveaway, our first baby steps into the water here, are only for those listening in the continental U.S. So if you are the 20th reviewer, we will see who you, and you're going to have to leave a comment too. You can't just review because then we won't know who you are. Leave your screen name. We will announce what that screen name is next episode, and then we will somehow get in contact with you. We have a Gmail email address that we've set up just for this.
Just for this.
Yes.
Would we like to ask them to be nice to us?
A 5-star review would be appreciated. I'm not going to lie, it would, but please, whatever you want to put out.
Listen,
there.
If you sat through this episode, then hopefully you like us anyway. So
yeah,
if you're still at this point of the episode,
if you go to iTunes and you see that's only 15 people reviewed, and you think to yourself, I'm going to be 16. I'm never going to win if I put a review down. That does not necessarily have to be the case, because you don't see any reviews that are posted until the next business day. So if you go on iTunes right after you listen to this and you see 15. 4 people may have put a review on before you, and you just don't see them logged yet. So you could very well be review number 20 if you just see 15 reviews on iTunes. So remember that. Don't let that discourage you.
Am I eligible?
I think we've all already reviewed on iTunes, so none of us are eligible anymore.
We like ourselves.
Yeah. So there you go. A Sidon Ithano Star Wars pop. An official Funko Pop. So that is our first giveaway.
I like it. You're digging deep in your archives there.
Yeah.
That's part of Jim's personal collection.
From my personal collection. Never opened, by the way. This is
in mint inbox.
Mint inbox condition. And I will mail it out very carefully, believe me.
I like it.
Yeah, so there you go. And I think with that, we can put another one to bed.
Yeah, okay. All right, cool. Caw-caw.
Bye.
We're out.